short president. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It is my pleasure to welcome you all here on behalf of the Board of Directors of St. Anthony Foundation. This is an exciting day for the groundbreaking of our brand new dining room in conjunction with Mercy Housing's 90 units of affordable housing for seniors. This is one of the finest examples of collaboration in the nonprofit sector today, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Many of you that have come here today have played a very important role in bringing this day to reality. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of the St. Anthony Foundation, I want to offer our greatest gratitude and appreciation for all your help. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Doug Shoemaker. I'm the president of Mercy Housing California, and I want to share Suzanne's sentiments that this really is a fabulous day. It doesn't get any more complicated than the scenario that we put together here. That is the San Francisco way. If you could do it simply, you wouldn't want to do it. So we've tried to make it complicated, but the result is going to be an unbelievable community asset, which is really what St. Anthony's and Mercy Housing and all of our partners are about, and really what today is about. There are so many people here that that one of the things we're just going to have to live with today is just a long list of thank yous. Not everyone will speak, but I do want to just acknowledge many of the people that are here today. You're going to hear from some. Obviously, we're blessed to have Leader Nancy Pelosi here, who's been a huge leader. Mayor Lee, and it seems like we might have a quorum problem with the Board of Supervisors. I'm sure there's no work getting done over there today, because it seems like we've been blessed with so many. I know Supervisor Kim, Supervisor Weiner, Supervisor Yee, and Supervisor Cohen. I'm sure there are more. Former Supervisor Bevan Dufty. We'll get more names, I'm sure, as we go through the program, but those are just to name a few, and we'll go on with the process. For Mercy, these opportunities are just few and far between. We were talking earlier, Barry and I, about just how many people St. Anthony sees on a regular basis. These 89 affordable apartments in one manager's unit, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. And the sad thing is, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to the need that we have. And I think all of you know that, which is why you're here today. We're blessed to have the leader here, and I wish that all of our colleagues in Congress could come out and be as supportive as you've been over the years, because then people would understand just how much more of this that we need on a regular basis. And unfortunately, with the situation that we have nationally, the funding for programs like this really are stretched, and there's a lot of doubt as to whether we'll see more of this funding in the future. So it's phenomenal to have such a champion with us here today to kind of bring that word back to folks. I'm going to do more thank yous as we go through the process, but I want to just turn it over now to Barry to talk a little bit about this from the St. Anthony's perspective.
Thank you, Doug. It's already been said a number of times already today. This is exciting. Many of us have been waiting a long, long time for this day. Of course, we're all here today to celebrate something new. But when I look out on all of you gathered here, I see something very familiar about this gathering. Yes, we're here to break ground on something new, a new building that will house the new St. Anthony's dining room and 90 units of affordable housing for our seniors, sponsored by Mercy. But when I look out and I see all these different people gathered here at Jones and Golden Gate, I'm struck by how in so many ways it's very normal and natural. There's nothing different about today than other days. People hanging out on this corner is nothing new. Yes, a new venture with Mercy Housing and St. Anthony Foundation in a very innovative and exciting collaboration, but also something very familiar. The Franciscans and the Sisters of Mercy stepping up to help the needy of San Francisco. There are some great old photos from right after the 1906 earthquake and fire. One of them shows a line of people going right up the street here on Golden Gate Ave, waiting for the Franciscans to feed them out of the rectory door of St. Boniface. And then there's another photo, a photo of Mercy Sisters standing in front of a hospital tent at Golden Gate Park as they administered medicines and helped the needy after the earthquake. For years, this corner has been the place where people who have a little something extra come and share with those who have very little. In 1950, Father Alfred Bodecker stood where we are standing today and recognized the dignity and the struggles of those out of work, veterans suffering the effects of World War II, and those battling addictions. He brought together civic leaders, hotel owners, captains of industry, and willing volunteers from the painters and the electrical unions, and that coming together on this street corner became St. Anthony's dining room. After a few years, because there always seemed to be enough food to feed everyone, no one was ever sent away empty, this coming together became known as the Miracle on Jones Street. Our presence here today signals to all of San Francisco that the miracle continues. We're not turning water into wine. We're not turning water into wine, not that kind of miracle. No, we're transforming old auto body shops into a state-of-the-art dining room and homes for our senior citizens. The miracle continues. We're not walking on water or raising the dead, but we are building homes and providing clothing and social services that will help people live lives of dignity and meaning. The miracle continues. We're not feeding thousands on the hillsides. Wait, we are feeding thousands on the hillsides. On these slopes between Nob Hill and Market Street, we're feeding thousands every day, and the miracle continues as we construct a facility where another generation of San Franciscans will come to reach out to those in need. The miracle continues. The miracle must continue because we still have $2.5 million to raise in order to pay the contractors to build this building. Let this gathering here today be a statement of our confidence that this miracle will continue and that we will raise the needed funds to complete this project. We must be miracle workers. So again, it's very exciting to see that today we are gathering at this blessed corner. I want to thank all of you for coming. The people who are responsible for this new building are here today. Those who had the idea for it, those who designed it, those who donated or lent the funds to ensure its construction, the builders, and those who will benefit from it. Some will speak today or be formally recognized, but in the tradition of this corner and what has happened here for so long, people coming together, I want all of you now to turn to one another and congratulate yourselves. Shake your neighbor's hand and say, "Thank you for making this possible." Thank you. This coming together would not be that, namely a coming together, if we did not hear from one of our guests, one of the people who benefit from the programs that we at St. Anthony's and Mercy provide. At this point, it is my honor to introduce to you Tyrone Hopper. Tyrone is a graduate from the Father Alfred Center, St. Anthony's Drug and Alcohol Rehab Program. Presently, he works for the City and County of San Francisco, and this year will graduate with a BA in Criminal Justice. Tyrone freelances as an interpreter in Spanish, including on-call assignments for the United Nations, and he expects to be certified in Mandarin next year. Please welcome Tyrone.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have to say that I'm a bit overwhelmed today to be sharing the same stage with Nancy Pelosi, Ed Lee, Susan Corrett, and to look out here and see this sea of humanity and have people cheering for me. I'm overwhelmed and I'm humbled because just 4 years, 9 months, and 6 days ago, I was smoking crack. That's right, I was a drug addict. And almost 5 years later, here I am. Miracles do happen. "60 years ago, Father Alfred Bodecker had a vision. It started with his compassion for those in need. The vision was and still is for those in need to come out of poverty and to thrive. This vision since 1950 has been giving those in need the natural and the spiritual food that they need in order to thrive. I am now thriving because of the vision of Father Alfred Bodecker. I came through St. Anthony's. My first encounter with St. Anthony's was through the Father Alfred Center, which is the Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Center. There, I was instilled with values and morals that I had been separated from through my drug use. After coming to the Father Alfred Center, they put me to work in the diner over here, which is not easy work, but it was very gratifying. I got to see the actual faces of the people that I was able to help. I got to see the people and hear them actually say, "Thank you for the work that I was doing." But remember, just a short time before that, I was on the streets smoking crack. And now, today, I'm able to come here and to give back to a foundation that gave so much to me. The clinic helped get me medical and make sure that everything was working okay and that I was fit and in top shape. The tech lab got me back acquainted with computers and email and Google and Facebook and all those things that we can't live without, right? Social services got me back acquainted with getting my driver's license back because out there while I was on drugs, I had lost my driver's license. And how many of you know that in California, it's really hard to get around without a car? Can I get a witness? I now work for the city and county of San Francisco. I work over at San Francisco General Hospital in the dietary department. I've been there for almost 3 years. I'll be graduating from the University of Phoenix this year with a degree in criminal justice. And as Barry has already told you, I freelance as an interpreter. I have to disagree with Barry on one point that he made. He said that the dead are not resurrected here. I stand here before you to let you know that the dead can be resurrected because my life was over before I came here, and it has been resurrected on today. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. My name is Tyrone, and I'm under construction. Godspeed to you all.
Thank you, Tyrone. Phew. Okay, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you today one of our volunteers. This woman takes time each year to come to volunteer at St. Anthony's with her children and grandchildren. She does this when she's not otherwise occupied, like when she's leading Democrats in Congress. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi is used to speaking before representatives. She's been doing it for 25 years. So today she comes before us, representatives of all of San Francisco and points beyond. She is used to celebrating occasions when those who have been excluded have been welcomed to something new and exciting. She's done it for women coming into the halls of Congress. She's done it for seniors moving into housing. She's done it for those with HIV/AIDS gathering at the Memorial Grove. I could go on, but I'd much rather hear her speak, so please welcome Leader Nancy Pelosi.
Get close to the mic. Thank you very much for your very generous introduction, Barry, and for your great leadership at the St. Anthony Foundation, for the invitation to be here today with such distinguished guests. How about Tyrone? Is he something? How about Tyrone? But it's an honor to be with you, Barry, with Suzanne Swift, with Doug Shoemaker, with Tyrone, of course, and with our distinguished mayor, Mayor Lee. Last time I saw him, he was sitting up there on the platform while President Obama was delivering the inaugural address. With Susan Corrett, thank you for decades of generosity and service to our community across the board. And Father Hardin, who president of the St. Anthony's Foundation, thank you for your leadership. When Barry talked about bringing my children, my grandchildren to come serve meals over the years at St. Anthony's Dining Room, and others had mentioned Father Bodeker, I was remembering Father Floyd Lotito. I told my children what Father Lotito told me. A long time ago, I said, Father Floyd, what makes you be able to do this over and over, year in and year out, that you never burn out, that you have a constant source of enthusiasm for ministering to the needs of people in need? He said, when I was growing up, my parents told me that God loved poor people in a very special way, and so that we all must love them in a very special way. And that was his motivation, and I believe the motivation of many of us gathered here today. I know it is of, where are you, Father? Father from USF? There he is. Thank you for being here as well. So I'm not going to do all introductions because I see so many of you in the audience who have been so magnificent in this. And here we are, coming together in a partnership between Mercy Housing. Now, it's Mercy Housing because it's the Sisters of Mercy, but it's Mercy Housing because that's what it is, and that's what it means to the people who benefit from it, and this collaboration with St. Anthony's. The coming together of two forces of such magnitude, of such commitment, of such deep commitment, of such values, that you know that the outcome is going to not only benefit the people who are here, but also be a model for others. This is a collaboration, has been said, between Mercy Housing and St. Anthony's, an example of nonprofits coming together for the greater good. With their leadership and their being models of producing results of national significance, both of them have been able to impact public policy, and I know the mayor is right on the forefront of all of this, and thank you for your great leadership, Mayor Lee. But in the Congress, Mayor Lee, that's okay. And you know that we just had a little session with the cliff, going over the cliff, not going over the cliff. But one of the things that we were determined to protect in that debate was the new markets tax credit, something that has benefited some of these kinds of initiatives throughout the country. So whether it was longer ago and the low-income housing tax credit, which Mercy Housing has participated in over and over again, or the new markets tax credit, which is the current one of the current versions of the story, or the Section 8 vouchers, or the rest of that, Public policy has played a role, but we can only be successful in achieving the funding for that public policy if we have examples of national significance to say this must be a priority. And it is a priority because Mercy Housing in St. Anthony's makes people the priority. Results, deeds, not just words. The words are important, but they're no substitute for making something happen from it. We all know the Gospel of Matthew. When I was hungry, you gave me to eat, and that is what St. Anthony's done. When I was homeless, you gave me shelter, Mercy Housing. Now they come together. And it's not just about food and housing. It's about dignity and stability and respect. Respect for that spark of divinity that exists in every person. Respect for that person's value to all of us. Respect for the possibilities, as Tyrone has pointed out to us, and for giving back. God bless you, Tyrone, for not only turning your life around, but for giving back. So, Father Prevet, we've been together on many occasions like this, and Father Prevet is the president of USF. Probably you know that, but he knows that this city of St. Francis has been a city. When they talk about San Francisco values, I take it in the most complimentary way. And the values of St. Francis and being channels of God's peace, and that is exactly what we are doing on this corner today, being channels of God's peace, giving hope, giving love, giving light where it had not existed. But to thank each and every one of you for what you do. Our mayor has been sort of the catalyst. He's where a lot of this comes together: public policy, private philanthropy, Corrette Foundation, and the rest, and then nonprofit collaboration. It all works with a spark that makes it just ignite in a much bigger way. And he has been really a champion in that regard, not just as the mayor of the city, but long before that in his various capacities as in leadership in our city. So we thank him for that leadership. Because of each and every one of you sitting here, and most of all because of the VIPs today, the VIPs, the people who will live here. They are the very important people today. Because of those very important people, this is a very important day in San Francisco, and I'm very honored to be part of the proceedings. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leader Pelosi, for the kind words and for the sentiments I think we all share. It is really an emotional thing to sit here with so many people caring so deeply about what happens on this site. Yeah, it's a fabulous moment, so thank you for bringing that together. It's my honor to introduce Mayor Lee, who I've known for. I had the benefit of working for Mayor Lee for a brief period of time before he sent me to the curb. No. It's not really true, but it's a good story. In the world that I inhabit, the world of affordable housing, there's really no higher praise than to call someone a houser. I don't know that we've ever had a houser as mayor quite the way we have with Mayor Lee. For many of you probably know this, but since the days when he was in law school representing tenants in Chinatown in suits to make sure that their living conditions were what they needed to be, he has been there since the very beginning. And from the day he entered office and well before, no one ever had to explain to Ed Lee what affordable housing was for, or why it mattered, or what was important about it, or why you needed to support it. And so we have done something unbelievable in San Francisco this past year under his leadership, which is, despite the fact that the state has seen fit to remove literally $1 billion in affordable housing funding from the dissolution of redevelopment agencies, no other mayor, no other board of supervisors stood up and said, we're going to change the story. So with our board's leadership and with the mayor's leadership and with the support of many donors and many committed political folks, we passed an unbelievable measure that is going to provide funding for affordable housing here in San Francisco. It doesn't solve the problem, but it's a step way beyond what any other community in California has done. And I want to thank the board and the mayor for their incredible leadership on this, and invite up Mr. Mayor Ridley.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for your leadership at Mercy Housing as you reconstruct your life. Anyway, let me first of all say it's a privilege to be with our Board of Supervisors. Many of the members are here, our fire chief, our police chief, our homeless connector czar, Bevan, who's been out there on the streets, and I'll be out there tonight with you, Bevan, to do the homeless count, as we need to do to make sure that we are doing our best to cover everyone. You know, Barry said earlier, a lot of miracles happen, and I want to tell you this is the city of miracles because we want those miracles to happen. We wish it to happen. Lucille wouldn't be here without those miracles. World-class miracles, right? Yeah. But, you know, there's a lot of challenges in our lives and things that we're confronted with. But as Doug kind of explained, we got it together when we knew we were challenged. And I think, I look at people like Leader Pelosi to give me the kind of personal incentive that I need to move things forward, because if you talk about someone who is fearless, you go back to Washington, D.C. I mean, here in our setting, we have a lovely time thanking each other, but when you go to D.C. and you know what she has to face, you really appreciate her fearlessness. That cliff was real. The conversations are nasty. They are insensitive to our world of miracles here. We love and touch each other, and we know what that feels. In D.C., it's hard to gain that with the conversations that I have there. But for her leadership, but for her connections, but for her introductions to the federal agencies that we need so much their attention as they are stretched wide across this country with all the needs, she has opened up those doors for me, for countless other mayors, for representatives of our different agencies to get that chance to present our case so that our miracles can happen for each other. So Nancy, thank you very much for your wonderful, wonderful leadership. And then to come back here and celebrate with us on helping us turn the spade on something that's going to happen that has been a miracle now 38 million times for people in the last 60 years. Father Hardin, that's just you and your staff, all the volunteers. You know, the volunteers at the heart of the success of St. Anthony's Dining Hall. I want to say that because I've been at those kitchens. I've served meals with. I know that it is tough, you know, to have people who are down and out in the worst times of their lives to be able to be introduced. And we know it's more than a meal, but it gets started with a home-cooked meal. And then the hands come out, and then the thoughts and the hearts exchange. And how can we help you? And that's been, I think, the ingredients for more than just a great meal. It's the ingredients of life and how we celebrate it here. It is, as Leader Pelosi said, it's our character of San Francisco. And so it is also part to say, not only do we add that with a new dining hall, but we add on top of that 90 units of affordable housing for our seniors. How wonderful can that be? That people in their years, when they're in need, the Board of Supervisors and the Mayor's office and all of the volunteers working together to build consensus for the stories for more miracles in the city. And there's going to be more miracles to come. They're not all just in sports, by the way. Although by next week, we'll see another one. And when we do, Leader Pelosi will have 2 kinds of crab cakes you can choose from. But also, besides Leader Pelosi as being a miracle worker, there's another miracle workers that's been in our midst for the last 30 years. You know, the Correct Foundation, I knew them when I was a young attorney at the Asian Law Caucus, and we had to apply for the same grants as all the other community-based organizations to fill the gaps where government couldn't make it happen. And we went to the Correct Foundation time and time again to ask for money to do housing advocacy. When we were doing education for monolingual tenants in public housing, Correct Foundation was there. When we were doing education for new immigrants, Correct Foundation was there. The last 30 years, Correct Foundation has been there for St. Anthony's Dining Hall, and just in this last year, another $1 million of contributions from Correct Foundation to make sure this dining hall got its chance to be rebuilt, so that St. Anthony's can increase their meals and their space by some 42% in the land use on this, and to also build the housing. And while we are reminded there's still $2.5 million, and I know we're going to dig deep in our pockets to help get that done, because it will get done. Miracles happen completely, not just partially. That I want to thank and recognize Susan, because I know the transition from who we knew to be the face of the Correct Foundation happened years ago. She's picked it up with the greatest spirit, the greatest honor that can possibly be produced. The spirit of the Correct Foundation lives today through Susan and her constant donation. She was one of the very first when I became interim mayor. And I said, I need some of the philanthropic lives. And I talked to Warren Hellman and what he did. And I did with the Fishers and the Shorensteins, all these great families that had been part of our history. And I want to create the next generation of philanthropic, San Francisco loving people that as they are successful, their hearts become bigger, bigger for all of us, so that we can continue the miracles for everybody. And we can get more Tyrones to exchange language lessons with me pretty soon. But Susan has been at that part of our philanthropic San Francisco Love Fest for many years. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Susan Corrett, Correct Foundation, great miracle worker.
Wow, this is wonderful. I mean, I don't know if this is, deserve what to say. Well, it's kind of really exciting. But first of all, it is very important to introduce the Correct Foundation family. First of all, our executive director, Mr. Jeff, would you stand up, please? And Aaron also. And then what's next to that beautiful lady? Gabrielle, yeah, okay. And then this is my niece, Denise Kim. Also. Thank you. Well, anyway. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this great milestone. I'm happy to be here. San Antonio has a special place in my heart because it represents the vision of my late husband, Joseph Corrett. Joe was born in poverty. His wish was for no one to go hungry in his beloved San Francisco community. Joe would have been so proud to support this wonderful new building that will provide care for so many people in our city. For me, St. Anthony's also represents the 3 C's: care, community, and continuity. I bring you many congratulations from all of the members of the Board of Directors of the Correct Foundation. and our very best wishes for continued success in the future. Thank you.
I saw Merle and Larry. I think we have seats up for you up here if you want to join us. As we've sort of said, that this building is complex, and it starts with the funding. It'll get more complicated with the construction pretty soon, but it has really been an unbelievable group effort to pull together all the different funders of this work. We've heard about the Correct Foundation's amazing contribution, and I know there have been so many important contributions on the St. Anthony's side. For an affordable housing community to get built like this, it also takes an unbelievable set of folks to pull together. And in this case, we start with HUD, who supplied almost over $12 million to make this project possible. Larry Ferguson's here. He's the director of the HUD 202 programs, which gets to fund the senior housing. An important thing to know about the HUD 202 programs is not only do they provide capital, but they provide a rental subsidy, so that seniors who are on Social Security or even less income don't have to worry about whether they can make a $1,000 rent payment. They pay 30% of whatever they can pay, and the federal government helps us make up the difference so that we can keep people housed. Now, there are folks out there who don't understand why this is such a great investment, so I just want to take 1 second to tell you about this. We know, because there are 18 folks that are coming right off the street that have been homeless that are going to house in this building. We know from our experience elsewhere in San Francisco, down at Mission Creek, that we can save as much as $25,000 a year to Medicaid and Medicare by housing a senior in this kind of setting. So it's an unbelievable investment, and one that I hope we'll keep on doing. I don't have time to thank everyone at HUB, but I do want to thank Larry and Bill Regina and the rest of the staff there. Without your commitment and work to make these programs real, we really couldn't get the work done. We've thanked the mayor, but the mayor's staff at the mayor's office of housing. Olson Lee is one of the humblest public servants you'll ever meet. He's somewhere in the background. He's hiding, as is his wont. Olson has been doing this, I think, since 1906. Olson has been doing this forever, and along with a lot of other people in this city, we would not have the history of affordable housing in San Francisco without Olson Lee. He has been tireless. He works harder to make this happen than anyone I know, and he's as committed to this as any human being I've ever met. So I want to thank Olson, but I also want to thank the rest of the Mayor's Office of Housing staff, the project managers, and everyone else at the Mayor's Office of Housing for their work on this effort. Again, in the obscure world that is affordable housing, and Leader Pelosi mentioned the tax credit systems that we use to fund this work. The low-income housing tax credit is in many ways the most important funding mechanism for affordable housing that the federal government, or really any level of government, provides. And it's been in jeopardy over the years, and Leader Pelosi's been a huge champion along with Senator Feinstein in preserving this program. We're a little bit worried about it right now, but we know we have a huge champion in you. As we go back and look at tax reform, we're confident that you'll be with us on that issue. The way it works is we get investors to buy the tax credits, and that helps pay for the building. It's a very complicated financial transaction, and one that really requires the help of a technical partner. In our case, the National Equity Fund, and Todd Fabian's here representing the National Equity Fund. They've helped produce over $16 million for this program. And NEF has partnered on almost 300 projects in California alone, and brought in an equity investment of over $1.2 billion through the low-income housing tax credit, just to give you a sense of how important they are and how important this program is. So thank you, NEF. Bay Area LISC has played a role in this project. You know, in San Francisco, everything is green, but LISC helps us go greener. And so they have provided an important important pre-development grant to help us understand how to green this project and how to make it the most environmentally sustainable project we could have. LISC is a huge partner with us nationally and with all of the community development work that they do across the country to make communities healthy and stable. So thank you, Stephanie and LISC. We have two different banking partners on this project that have combined to lend over $22 million to the construction loan on this project. Citibank and Silicon Valley Bank. Rebecca Koch is right behind me. I saw Merle somewhere. He's around. Merle Malikoff, former Mercy employee, also a wonderful human being. Merle's hiding also in the background because he's also humble. These two banks have been huge supporters of affordable housing over the years. Silicon Valley Bank, I think we want to just mention also that the Silicon Valley Bank has been instrumental in helping us secure an affordable housing program grant for this project from the Federal Home Loan Bank system, and we want to thank the Federal Home Loan Bank and Anita Adams and her staff, but also Silicon Valley Bank for making that grant possible. It's a huge help. I think it's almost $900,000 for this project and a big part of closing the gap, so thank you. As you can tell, I've been given the enviable task of thanking everyone. I will get to you eventually if you're out there. Another partner for us is the Department of Public Health. Again, another part of the city and county family. They understood probably earlier than any other health department in the country that housing is health. And so they have been a huge part of the solution to homelessness in San Francisco. Here, as they do in other buildings around the city, they are providing operating and service grants so that as people come into this building off the street, we're able to help them stabilize, afford the housing that they're living in, and move on and reconstruct their lives, as Tyrone mentioned. And so, again, I want to thank the Department of Public Health. I'm almost there. We have lots of neighbors. If you've ever been next to a construction project, you want to make sure you thank your neighbors at the beginning. They may not want to hear your thanks, but we're there. So the Boyd Hotel, St. Boniface, so I don't think we will thank you. Seamus Naughton from Hibernia Bank, the North of Market Community Benefit District, the Alliance for a Better District 6, the Demarillac Academy, Marie Jobling from Senior Action Network, San Francisco Network Ministries, CCYO, and the Tenderloin Futures Collaborative, and Father John Harden, of course. Since I'm up here, I also want to thank the Mercy staff. I think there are probably about 25 Mercy staff distributed through the crowd, and we do everything together. No one person is responsible for any project, but there are some people who have played an extraordinary role in this, and I want to thank Aaliyah Lavora, Sharon Christian, Barbara Gualco, and the rest of the Mercy staff that did so much. Okay, last but not least. Nothing happens in San Francisco without dedicated community advocates. For this building to be here, for St. Anthony's to be here, for the work that Mercy does, they're just people who, over the years, they make a commitment to making stuff happen. They're the voice in the back of the room. They're the ones reminding you over and over again that we have a commitment to make something better. Mercy doesn't often name our buildings. Sometimes they have glorious names like 121 Golden Gate, which is the name of this building up until now. It's very poetic. But we really wanted to do something to commemorate the incredible contributions of the Tenderloin community and the senior community in San Francisco. And what we've decided is we'd like to name this building after Vera Hale, who's here on stage. This building, once it's open, will be known as Vera Hale Elder Housing. I just recently met Vera. Most of the people at Mercy have known Vera for a long time, and I think most of you, based on the response, have known Vera for a long time. For over 20 years, Vera has been a tireless advocate around senior issues, around economic security issues. She's worked at Curry Senior Center. She's been a volunteer. I have a list of the commissions and boards she's apparently still serves on or has served on. I'll just read them to you because it's a longer list than anything I've ever heard in my life. The San Francisco Immigrant Rights Commission, the Advisory Council to Aging and Adult Services, the Mayor's Long-Term Care Coordinating Council, the San Francisco In-Home Support Services Task Force, and the Coalition of Agencies Serving the Elders. And I'm sure there are about 100 others that Vera has served on over the years. When I sat with her to learn more about Vera, the list of things that she's worked on, including volunteer boards for Mercy Housing, just goes on and on. So to me, Vera really symbolizes exactly what it is that San Francisco is all about. And I want to just take this opportunity to acknowledge her phenomenal work, the community that she's fought so tirelessly for, and to let you know that this will be on top of the dining hall, this corner will forever be St. Anthony's Dining Hall, but the small piece that is Mercy Housing will be known as Vera Hale Elder Housing. So Vera. So close. I have a long list. I'm on page 3. There's only 7 more. I'm kidding. It does seem that way, I know. We want to thank our event sponsors, Nibby Brothers, our general contractor, the Hilton, Citibank, the Low Income Investment Fund, and Bank of America. Barry's going to say a little bit more about them in a second. I'm sure I've forgotten something. I apologize in advance if I forgot you and you were on my list. But in the interest of time, I'm going to turn it over to Barry. Thank you.
Yes, we're trying to wrap this up here. So we'd like to thank, there's a couple of lenders on St. Anthony's side, just 2. The Low Income Investment Fund, Nancy Andrews is here, and the Bank of America, Elizabeth Ben Schoten, I believe, is here. And we want to thank them both. I think because St. Anthony's helped the Low Income Housing Fund get started back in the 90s, we were going to have Nancy say just a word or two. So Nancy.
Thanks, everyone, and it's just fantastic to see so many San Franciscans turn out for this groundbreaking. I'm Nancy Andrews. I'm the president and CEO of the Low Income Investment Fund. We are a San Francisco-based community capital nonprofit organization, and our role in this project was to provide a $10 million allocation of New Markets tax credits. You heard Leader Pelosi speak about the importance of that program. Every year, the New Markets program provides billions of dollars to projects similar to this one, and it's a very important part of the fabric of what moves communities forward in today's world. We're incredibly proud to have had the chance to support this program, to support St. Anthony's in providing meals, services, and hope to San Franciscans, but it's especially heartwarming to us to be able to collaborate to bring housing and services together, and the collaboration between Mercy Housing and St. Anthony's. We'd also like to thank Bank of America, who was our capital partner in the New Markets program. And again, we're simply thrilled to be a part of this. It speaks perfectly to the vision that many of us share for how to move families and communities forward. And I have to say that I, for one, and if this is what the groundbreaking is like, I am incredibly excited to go to the grand opening celebration. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nancy. I'd like to also make sure we thank the staff of St. Anthony's who is here in Forest today. So raise your hands and we thank them. It's a couple of other grand tours to St. Anthony's. St. Anthony's, this is all donations for us that we've had to raise and are continuing to raise. But I'd like to thank Jack Fitzpatrick from the Gellert Foundation, who's here. Stephanie Rapp, I believe, is here from the Walter and Lise Haas Foundation, if she is. Oh, okay, well, thank you. And of course, the correct folks that have already been mentioned. So at this point, I would like to ask, we're going to actually do a groundbreaking. So I would ask those who are involved in that, that's everybody on the stage pretty much, to start moving into the pit. So if you can stand up and start moving. Everybody else stay in your